to have the Dhamma discourse by Venerable Bhante Kusala. So I would like to invite him to take it forward now.
Hey, Jasprit, just let's give a big hand to Dipanshi.
Yeah.
नमो तस्ते भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्से नमो तस्से भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्से नमो तस्से भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्से. Good morning, everyone who are joining from North America, others who are joining from other places. It may not be the morning for you. So thank you very much, Vivek and the team, for inviting me for this Dhamma talk. I have been listening to the stories, and I'm glad that kids are sharing Dhamma in this group and making it open, available for others to learn. So today I'm going to discuss about a little bit about something that may be really important in formative years for children. This is also connected to something I had already discussed in a previous event when I joined this team. I think for reminders, I would say you may remember the story about hijacking. If not, I will present it again today. Hijacking is a story that I like to share because it happens to all of us in our formative years, in teenage years. And I will begin it with the story of how this young girl from a school in North America, she has been thriving in mathematics. She has been doing perfectly well in school and at home. She had her mom waking her up at 5 in the morning for music lessons, and she was doing fine. When she came to the age of 14, toward the end of her age, 13, 14, she started getting annoyed. She was hissing at her mom and her dad. And also at school, she continued to have better grades, but she was starting to feel like she was able to do things, that she knows things and she has friends. So something was going on inside of her, which parents were aware of, and it sounded like she was wanting to do heroic things. And just before her maths test, she was given something by two of her friends at the school. This is just before she sat for her mathematics exam. So they had 30 minutes into the exam, and her friends suggested that, okay, shall we do something before the test? This will help us focus. This will help us score better. So our subject, she decided to go with the two friends. They went to the bathroom and they gave her something. They gave her some kind of a medicinal thing, as they said. And they said, try this. This will help you do well in mathematics exam. And these two girls also tried it, but in a mild dosage. And the other girl, having had it, she said, well, I don't feel anything. And they gave her more. And she said, I don't feel anything. So then she was told by two of her friends that, okay, you will feel it later. So then they all went. It was a time for the test. They sat in the examination hall. In a matter of 20 minutes, this girl started throwing up and screaming, and she felt hallucinating. And then she started yelling at the maths teacher. This maths teacher has been her favorite teacher, but she started screaming and yelling, and the maths teacher freaked out and ran to the office, ran to the school principal, and said, "This is what is happening in my exam hall. Can you come and investigate?" So the matter was taken to the principal, and this girl pointed at the two friends who gave her something, and the two friends, you know what they did? They betrayed this girl, saying that it was her who gave something to these two girls. But then the principal, stopped the exam and investigated the whole situation and asked, what is happening in this class? Now you all have turned to age 14 and you all have been doing great things. And what is stopping you from doing great things? And then the stories, they separated all class students and separated everyone's stories and got the story that it was these two girls who has been bringing poisonous stuff, substances to the school. And toward the end, they found out the true people who brought it to the school and suspended them, because this girl also was about to be suspended from school had she not told the truth. So her truth was understood and she was allowed to come to the school. But again, she went going to the school and she was doing fine. And then she got the attention of a boyfriend. And that boyfriend gave her a cell phone, and she started texting day and night, texting and sending pictures day and night. And these pictures could include anything. So her parents were alarmed and said, you are using this phone too much. You go to bed with it, you wake up with it, and you are texting too much. You are messaging this and that. Why don't you really, cut down your time using this cell phone? And this girl was getting, angrier toward her parents. And so parents saw that this girl was obsessively using the phone and her grades could be affected. Not yet, but could be affected. So at this point, her father grabbed the phone when she was in an angry situation. Of course, this may have gone a little tensed in the house, and she ran away from home. Straight, she went to the police, and police doesn't know whether the story is true or not. They have to listen to her and they have to wait, investigate. Her father was also arrested, and then there's the court. There was a court case against the parents filed by this girl with the support of the police. And then when it usually goes to a police situation, they assess how much wealth parents have, and the court case runs as long as the money of parents run out. And the girl was sent to foster care because of her complaint. But then at foster care, they gave her, she demanded a cell phone. So they gave her it, and they were really like investigating what she was doing with the cell phone. And she happened to send the same kind of messages that parents were complaining about. And then, she even later revealed the truth that she was lying about the whole parent situation. And now she is missing home, missing parents, the place where she has been growing, place, where she had doors open to come, and that she had food available, and she had her friends and relatives coming and going, that kind of a place. She felt like she was missing it. And in this story, I love sharing this story because, hijacking happens to all of us at certain age. In this girl's story, she was hijacked. Her intelligence was hijacked by hormones, and her intelligence was hijacked by drugs. Her intelligence was hijacked by the use of electronics. Her intelligence was hijacked by her conceit, mana. Conceit, really came to her, and she's a knower, she's the hero, she knows much better than teachers and parents, and she wanted to be highlighted. So when stories like this emerge, they come to us. They bring these children to, since the beginning, they have been bringing these children to the temple. So we know it from the first-hand experience that we need to have a different approach for these kind of children. So when your intelligence is hijacked this way, you have lost the ability to say no to something that is harmful to you. You have the ability to say no to something that is harmful to you when it is given to you. You lost the ability to refuse things that take your peace of mind, the peace of mind of your parents. You lost the ability to say no to those things. So I share this story also because I want you to understand that this does not only happen to girls, this happens to boys, this happens to teenagers, this happened to many, many, many of. And I love to share present day stories to teach Buddhism so children understand the gravity of what is really, happening around them. And parents sometimes trust their children too much and leave the cell phones and electronics and anything, if in human life, if you use anything more than 4 hours a day, this is an addiction. If you use your cell phone more than 4 hours your day, you have an addiction toward it. And you can notice it when it has affected your sleep patterns, that you forget to sleep by 3 in the morning, even knowing that you have a test uh, by 8 in the morning the following day. You have a Spanish test at 8 in the morning, and you haven't slept until 3 because you have been busy watching TikTok videos, Facebook videos, Indian idols, and videos from American or other places, and you have been laughing and secretly having a different world created, different bubble to be in. When this has happened to you, I'm sure you have an addiction, an obsession that you need to work on. So this is very, very important for teenagers in their formative years to have strict discipline, because the Buddha says discipline is key for the sasana to last. When monks have good discipline, people also follow the same, because people join the order. Join the order means they become monks and they follow the same kind of discipline. And therefore, Buddhism lasts forever, the Buddha said. For your lasting forever, Vinaya, your discipline is key. And you know where it begins? It begins from where you live. This is a Sinhalese poem that I like to share. It says, Anuva lagina tana දත හැකි වෙයි සතා ගැන මා හිඳින සැතපෙන තැනින් කාටත් දැනෙයි මා ගැන. Because you don't understand any of it, I will translate it into English. According to the place where you sleep, you can know the animal. When you go to a cage, you know which kind of animal lives there. Even if you happen to be in a forest and you look around, by smelling the place, by observing the dirt around the cave, you can notice this is a nest of bears. This is a nest of a lion. Based on the place where you sleep, you can tell what kind of animal is living there. Based on where I sleep and where I live, everybody can know what kind of a person I am. This is the meaning of the poem. Based on where the animal sleeps, you can make a guess of what kind of animal is living there. And based on where you live, people can know who you are. So it begins from your place of residence, where you stay, not just your room, the whole house. If you have developed a habit of, throwing the dishes into the sink, leaving it for your parents, and going back to your selfish world again, without respectfully cleaning the dishes away and placing them in the right order, you have not learned to show respect toward your parents or the food that you have received for free. In my home, when I ate, I had to normally make sure that my place of eating, it is a gift that made them live healthy, that made them academic progress, but also my progress as a thoughtful and careful, considerate child. So I said about the place where you sleep, if you have kept it in a nice way, if you have maintained it, if you have, organizing a room is easy, but maintaining is the hardest thing. Maintaining requires discipline. You take something, you take your books, and you have a place for them to, like, you have when somebody suddenly enters your room, where your books should be, and they also learn it from you. They respect you as a person who maintains everything neatly. And if your room is messy, you have a cluttered mind, because you may have been hijacked. Your intelligence may have been hijacked by something. Suddenly, sometimes, somebody that is not so interesting to you in your neighborhood, maybe a little boy, a little girl, maybe an interesting person, because of the hormone changes that are happening. This is when I see these chat messages coming. I guess I will invite you all to stop chatting until the Dhamma talk is over, because I get distracted trying to read these. I think that the chat messages are about the Dhamma talk, something like for me to speak louder, so I try to pay attention to them. If you are chatting and listening, I think your attention is divided. You may miss some part of the Dhamma sermon. So I have this very kind reminder that this should not be practiced during a Dhamma sermon is in progress, because if you come to the temple, you won't be using any electronic media when monks are giving Dhamma talks, because 100% mindfulness is important, and that is how you give an example to children. So I was talking about neighborhood girls or boys. Sometimes you say them as normal people, and for teenage people, all of a sudden they appear to be beautiful. And this is when you bring them home. You lose the ability to control yourself, and you bring them home because you have infatuations about these people. You feel affectionate towards someone. It all begins in a thought. When this was happening to Buddha's attendant, Ananda, he went to the Buddha and said, I'm feeling interested about women that I saw. And then the Buddha said, Ananda, don't look at them, right? Don't look at them, and don't talk to them. Don't associate too much of these women. And if they happen to come and talk to you, you stay as alert as possible. You stay as awake as possible to not let defilements control your mind. Therefore, for children, I strongly recommend that in your formative teenage years before marriage, you don't need to let defiled mind control you and hijack your intelligence. If you keep undefiled mind, if you maintain an undefiled mind, you will be able to ace in your exams. You will be able to choose the right partner in life. You will be able to choose right spiritual companions in your life. You will be able to have, some habit. For example, you have to do today itself. That has been my motivational phrase, that do it today. I have been that way all the time, that do it today is my motto. I remember it all the time. I keep doing it all the time. And when I have not been overloaded, I don't overlap, and I have been able to manage my day properly and go to bed at the proper time and be free from um, drowsy and sleepy start of a next day, because I can start fresh the following day. Sometimes we also get hijacked by food intoxications. You uncontrollably go and eat. One time, this mother and the child came to Mahatma Gandhi. They walked a couple of miles to meet Mahatma Gandhi for advice. And this mom said, my son has a habit of eating sugar. Please give him some advice to stop eating sugar. And Mahatma Gandhi said, come in 2 weeks. And she was puzzled. Why is he asking us to come in 2 weeks? And she went anyway. And in 2 weeks' time, she came with her child and asked the same question. At that point, Mahatma Gandhi told the child, don't eat sugar. That's all he said. And this mother was like, why didn't you tell this to the kid last time when we came? And Gandhi said, it's because I also had to learn how to stop sugar. I had it as a bad habit. Now I have been able to stop it myself. And I can set an example to this child so that he will stop sugar when I look at his eyes and speak it with my vibe, with my truth, because truth has power. So this mom understood the message, and the kid definitely stopped eating sugar. So I trust that you parents and your whoever you live with, first, the example begins at home. If you have overloaded your refrigerator with sweet stuff, there is a tendency that children will go and pull things and eat. In my home, we didn't have things like that. We didn't have a refrigerator. We didn't even have electricity growing up. I can share my whole life story at a different talk because time is coming to an end. But again, it begins at home, staying neat, keeping a peaceful state of mind, maintaining your discipline, not letting addictions control your life. So you will have a peaceful mind. Do you have any questions before I wrap up?
Bhante, it's not a comment or a question. I must submit to you the timing of your discourse. I think every teenager is hearing this. Probably there could be no other wisdom, and considering the various television stories and mishaps and the life of children getting lost because of this abuse of space technology. I'm a space scientist. We have given the best technology there, but it is being highly abused. It is abused. Today, I am a part of the WHO infodemic management. Infodemic is more harmful than pandemic. So, Bhante, you have thrown a light, and I wish this is recorded, and each teenager who is holding a mobile in the hand, they understand, especially in India, because of the lockdown, even the smallest children are using the mobile. And 1-year-old child is given a mobile. Mother is safely avoiding the child as a botheration. I wish your discourse, however small and cute, it is very apt. It's not a question, it's only a compliment, and many, many thanks. It is the right way of telling Namo Buddhaya. Thank you.
Namo Buddhaya. Thank you so much. I didn't know your background, and it's very timely that you shared it. Infodemic is stronger than a pandemic.
Bhante, you can see an Amitabh Bachchan coming with small children. And in India, civic sense, I'm worried. If a child is used as Shivakaji to produce crackers, if a child is used in Kashmir for woolen shawl, we get annoyed. The smallest children are brought there for selling some consumer goods. Is it not abuse of child human rights?
It is.
I think it's the time that we should say no. That's why I'm saying my mobile is my weapon, because COVID has given me mood and mood. I stop abuse of technology. Thank you very much.
Bhante, thank you so much. Jasprit, do we have a time for a question?
Yeah, we're at time, Parvinya. Yes, why not?
Okay. So just quick question. So Bhanteji, thank you so much once again for the discourse. I think it was very useful, especially for the kids. So one thing, Bhanteji, when you said that anything that you are doing more than 4 hours, can be considered addiction. My son was very prompt to just tell me that he is attending school more than 4 hours online. Okay, so is that addiction? So I know that where he's coming from, but could you please help them understand that, spending time on good things? Yeah.
Well, considering what he does, it's, if you break school into several subjects, it's different small subjects that he doesn't do science for 4 hours. He doesn't do maths for 4 hours. So it's all like information coming in different times and lengths. So it's not actually 4 hours of doing school in that sense. Of course, you do it, you sit in front of a computer these days and learn. And that is, like you said, you do it for your own improvement. But, your son and other children also need to understand that there are harmful things that you do more than 4 hours. And that becomes an obsession, an addiction, and it has this evil energy. This is where you need to be careful of it. of it. It has this evil energy to control your life and take it in a direction that is not intended by you in your formative years. Without you knowing, you have become someone like a robot. And I know a true example of this. One family, doctor's family, raised three doctors' children, and parents were also doctors. But then this son went to dental school and started using cocaine. And for 7 years, he's a school dropout and he doesn't do anything. He cannot focus. And I say to the parents that you did your part. You sent him to dental school, but it was this child who was hijacked, by cocaine. Parents were not told the truth. Parents really cannot know what is happening in the school when the child has lost his wisdom. You can be so smart to get into a dental school, but if you just didn't learn to say no socially, maybe he was too underaged when he went that far to a dental school, that he just wanted to, again, his conceit, he wanted to be a hero, which is why he did what he did. And in the end, it has consumed his life. And now he does gambling. He's stealing money from all his other doctor family members. And he's just getting into a car and driving all around United States, not knowing, not having any direction in his life. I feel so sad seeing him. But when your brain has wired together based on what it has fired, brain, that neurons that wire together, when it has happened to a child like that, it has irreversible damage. So take school as a positive thing that you are doing. It is shaping your future, not the electronics, not the computer addiction, not game addiction. Nothing like that will come to you for your improvement. So be very, very careful. Make space for good things in the mind, because mind is where you live, not your home. You don't live in your home, you live in your mind, which is an unlimited area. Make sure you have school stuff coming, not other stuff. I hope that helps.
So much, Bhante.
Bhanteji, did you have final words? Or that was beautiful final words, but if you have something else, just wanted to request.
No, this is good. I mean, the time went really quickly, but we can meet again with other stories.
Yes. Thank you so much. This was really beautiful. Yeah, I feel like there were so many things that we learned during your talk about distractions, about role modeling, about calming the mind. I think this was perfect for everyone, all the audience members, children, teenagers, us adults, everybody. So thank you so much. And for moving to our next speaker, I feel like I have a really, great privilege to host her today. I have been able to meet with her before during our Ambedkar lecture series. She's amazing. I'm sure you'll all really enjoy meeting Bhasha Singh. So Bhasha Singh is a journalist and a writer. She's associated with NewsClick, and she's written extensively on the issues of marginalized folks, especially Dalit women, minorities, and farmers. She's the author of the book Unseen. I have that book, and you should get it. It's really good. And it's been translated into many languages. She's received many prestigious awards, as Ramnath Goenka Award for Excellence in Journalism, and many fellowships. Her book is here. It talks about manual scavenging, a casteist practice that's still prevalent in India, as a lot of us know, against the people born in Safai Karamchari community. For the past 15 years, she's been associated with Safai Karamchari Andolan, an organization under the leadership of Bejwara Wilson, whom we were also privileged to host. And and who's working for elimination of the practice of manual scavenging and rehabilitation of Safai Karamcharis. She has been covering, doing ground reporting, and the most recent, of course, Indian farmers protest extensively against the Farmers Bill. So I'm sure that we'll have a very enriching conversation today. And the topic that Bhasha Singh is going for is courage, women from oppressed classes, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So without further ado, I would like to invite her. So happy to have you here again.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Jai Queen, to everyone. And it's really a pleasure to listen and to be part of this platform, which I have met in a very different kind of environment in Boston, and so many friends, and Sanjayji and you. So really, I'm much pleased and honored to have a discussion along with all of you. And I think today's topic is very open, and so many faces are there. Just to, before I begin, it's a much, the words are much quoted from the Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar. I just want to start from here. I measure the progress of the community by the degree of progress which women have achieved. And I think that is the basic thing which, from where we draw the inspiration, from where we get inspired. And in the recent years, I feel that a full decade of in Indian politics, Indian movement, if you find, I find that women are taking lead, and each and every woman are remembering Ambedkar. So that's a very fascinating thing for me as a journalist, as a writer, and as a part of movement, that women are holding, women who are not born in directly associated, because otherwise we have seen B.R. Ambedkar, whenever there is a poster of B.R. Ambedkar in the media, the people will think that, okay, it must be a Dalit issue. But right now, whatever the movement are happening in India, be it for the citizenship, be it for the farmers, be it for the student, everywhere you will find that people are remembering Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar as the democratic person, as the person who has given right to equality, right to life, right to dignity to everyone across. So I feel that this inspiration and this assertion that, okay, this is our way. If we want to get a peaceful, affirmative action in a democratic setup, then we have to remember, we have to follow the B.R. Ambedkar's path. And especially for the women, I think this assertion has come, it is almost an established fact whenever you go across, because he is the feminist. He is the person, I think, in Indian whole scenario of different leaders. We have multiple leaders, we have multiple visionary intellectuals. But he, when I think, I read, I go back to him whenever there is a crisis to understand the different layers. So I find that it's Ambedkar is basically a feminist, because he is the person who resigned on the Hindu Code Bill. And later, right now, when we are talking, we know what Hindu Code Bill stands for, how it was empowering for the woman at that time. Now we are talking about property rights. Now we are talking about the right to equality and the whole gamut of it. So I feel that it's really, if you find that how the women, and especially the women from the oppressed caste are gaining so much of power, and why they are connecting directly, indirectly with Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar. So I think the key is there, because he stood by them. He stood by all the oppressed caste person who were in crisis at that time. And right now also, in the present scenario, when we are talking in 2021 also, I find the same spirit is there. And I think if we have to move across and see different faces, because there's a huge shift when we talk about the courage, when we talk about the leadership, when we talk about the assertion. What I find that so many young faces have come. As you rightly mentioned, right now, the whole Indian political scene, there is a prominent discussion around farmers, women farmers, Dalit landless labor, who are all who have all joined hand in a different proportion, but all are together. They are sitting. I live in Delhi. In the borders of the Delhi, their numbers are growing. They are spreading the move across. And I got an opportunity to meet many women farmers. Women farmers, first time they made their presence so strong, felt so strong. And I was part of their rally when they took on the 26th January, the alternative rally for the Republic Day. And I was so pleased to see that they were having Ambedkar along with them when they were bringing this jhakis along different routes. So women were claiming that, okay, this is the path from where we have got this courage. And recently I met Nadeep Kaur, Dalit labor activist who was arrested. And she was in jail for a long time. She's right now out on a bail. When I interviewed her, I met her. So I was amazed to see her power, her courage, and she was believing in the sense of equality to its optimum level. She was just claiming that, okay, whatever my background is, she comes from agrarian labor. Her mother, father are agrarian labor in Punjab. And they have been fighting Dalit on the issues of the Dalit oppression, on the issue of the Dalit sexual assault, which is happening in there. So they have a long history of struggle. So this young girl, Nadeep Kaur, when I met her, so first thing I asked her, that from where you draw so much of courage, you are out on the bail and you are meeting so many people, you are not afraid at all. How it's possible that she has been faced with the sexual trauma, oppression while she was in jail, that also all incidents happened. She was very, she was sick at that time when she came to Delhi. She had food poisoning. So she said that we don't have a choice. We have to fight. We have to fight to survive. And this is the path Baba Sahab has shown us. So I think this is a new phenomena in Indian social spectrum also, which is happening. We have many people, you will find there's a whole newspaper which is also coming up. That's also from a different phase, the Trolley Times. You must have read about it. So these are very unknown faces from very different background, very different background. In a traditional sense, they, if you see, there is no connect directly for them to be a part of this larger democratic movement which is going on across the country and especially in the capital. But they want to make their presence felt. They want to speak. They want to register their protest or that they are citizen of India, this country of India, and they have a right to participate, right to dissent, right to fight for the livelihood of other people also. So this, I find that this is a very interesting thing. And as you rightly mentioned about the book, so while I was just thinking about this topic, so many faces from very different background, different languages, different religion were coming into my mind. So first of all, I just want to mention few of them here who have my book Unseen. I think they must have heard or read about them. The first face I find, which has broken the shackle of caste and scavenging, and she led this movement very fiercely, is Narayanamma. She's from Anantapur. That's right now in Andhra Pradesh, we find it. So Narayanamma is was a banal scavenger. She was cleaning the dry toilets, and I went to her place. And while listening to her story, I was just horrified that how this lady has been so brave, so bold, and single-handedly from the family. There was no support from the family of that kind, but she got connected with Safai Karamchari Andolan, and then proudly she just hold my hand and she has taken me to the place where she used to clean the dry toilets. She has shown me the photos also from her box, which she has kept that to show that what is the journey she has passed through. And she has taken me to the place. Now at this place, there's a school which is running. And she's saying that we demolished that whole structure of shame. That was a national shame. And everybody was asking that I am coming out, and this will bring a shame to the family, because at that time it was a trend that you have to hide. You don't want to have come openly and say that he or she is a manless scavenger. She said that I came out that everybody know about my caste. It's a casteist practice, and I have it's my responsibility to break this. And she has a photo also of breaking that toilet, and then she was a part of the yatra, which was taken to demolish all the dry toilets. So she's the lady, I think, which she sparked along with the movement, this kind of a move that women have to come out, they have to speak. And then from a very different background, I met Saroj Didi. Saroj Didi is from Haryana. That comes from the north belt of India. And she has a very different kind of a story to tell. She has a very different kind of trauma to share. So much has been happening to her. When she was pregnant, how the untouchability was there, how she was thrown out from the house where she was cleaning. And then finally, she declared that, okay, I am stopping this work. I'm going to burn my basket in the front of the DM house. And my future generations, my son, or nobody in the family is going to clean the dry toilet. So, and she faced a lot of trauma, a lot of struggle in the village, in the rural belt, but she never moved back. She has never gone back to that practice. So how I feel that this whole, and there are thousands of women, because we know that in last 30 years, how women have come out openly. They went to the Supreme Court, they went to the government, they went to the parliament to meet the parliamentarians, to do the advocacy, and still they are doing that. But this spirit that I am as equal as you are, and I have a democratic right over my country, this ownership, this reclaiming of the dignity, I think this moves, we generally talk about big names, or you can say that media claims them to be a success stories, or the big, they come in a very big gala way. But what we find that these women from the oppressed classes, oppressed caste, have been fighting a very different kind of stories in their day-to-day life, and they have been reclaiming their right to live with the dignity. And there's a direct connect. There's a direct connect of these women who are breaking the shackles to the Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar dream of annihilation of the caste. So this is happening in a very different way, very silent way sometimes, not so vocal, not so reported. But when they come out, they change the whole environment. They change the whole structure. They challenge the caste, they challenge the patriarchy. And what we find that these different women from the different background who are coming up, they have not only changed their own personal life, but they have contributed to a large level to the community, to large level to the society, large level to the political spectrum also. Because that's very important connect, that this is not for the personal benefit or a personal thing they are fighting for. So this is happening, and be it the right for the citizen. I just want to mention that also with you, with all of you, that this is also very interesting, which I mentioned in the beginning, that how whenever there is a crisis on the constitution, on the constitutional rights, we find that women become the torch bearer of it. Be it the attack of patriarchal mindset, be it the attack of Manusmriti, right-wing, theocentric state in a different way. The women are at the forefront. Right now, at the international media or the international attention is being paid when women farmers have come in a large number. We know from the different caste backgrounds also they are struggling. It's not only a struggle against the 3 farm laws, which is being in the center of the whole protest. It is basically their right over their land. In the same way as we have seen in a year or so, the women from the minority, Muslim women at large, came out openly, claiming their right over the country, over the citizenship. And in both the movements, they are entirely different from each other. If you see on the level of the issues, they are not directly connected. But what you will find that in both the movements, in both the upsurge, there are women in the forefront. These women are from the oppressed background. They are not in a very traditional form of struggle. They have never been recognized. But both of them claim that they can grow, they can work, they can move ahead with the lens of Ambedkar. So that's a very, very new phenomena in Indian society, Indian political spectrum, which has happened, that those who are oppressed, those who are struggling for their constitutional right, their constitutional claims, they have become there's a direct connect between them and Ambedkar, which has happened. They find that only Ambedkar can save them. Ambedkar can show them their way. So I find that this is a very interesting thing which is happening right now in our country. And at the same time, Dalit women speaks out. These are the different platforms which I have noticed at a different level. I just want to mention here that when in Uttar Pradesh, Hathras rape case has happened, where a young girl from the Dalit community, from the Valmiki community, she was gang raped, she was murdered. Finally, she died after a long treatment. And within the whole hatch-up was planned, and her body was burned without even taking the consent from the family members. At that time when I went there in the Hathras, there are just 4 families. All of you must have heard about it. It is much reported case, and there was a huge movement across in a different circles also for the justice of the Hathras victim. Just 4 Dalit families. 4 Valmiki in Dalit also, only 4 Valmiki families were in that village. And the rest of the village is of the dominant caste. The accused were from the dominant caste. And would I find that the relative of that girl, the girl's son's wife, we call it Bhabi, she spoke, she stood for justice like anything. There was so much pressure. You can imagine just the 4 houses. You can just imagine the whole police, whole government, whole administration was just against them. There were whole stories being cooked in different kind of a media houses about that girl, about the character, whatever. But when I interviewed that lady, she was such a fearless lady. She said that I know my life is under threat. My family is very fragile here. But if we don't stand for the dignity of our girl, then who will stand? And media tried to manipulate, the government was putting pressure. I was there for a few days. I was just noticing the whole process, how it is being manipulated, how there was a full attempt to cover up the case. But the woman from the house, from that lady to everyone, her mother, her relative, her aunt, everyone had the courage to speak truth, truth to the power. And that's the change. There was no fear. They know that they are fighting to the mighty. The police is not with them. The district magistrate is coming, intervening. Everything was happening. And they were just focusing on the male. But when it came to the women, they spoke so openly and they demanded for, and I think so far the case was able to sustain because of these women, because they were so fearless. They were giving their statement continuously. So this is what the change is happening at a very grassroots level, where women from the oppressed community, oppressed class, they are gaining this power that we are the torch bearers of the constitutional values. We are the torch bearers. We have to take a lead. We cannot be at the backbench. We have to assert ourselves. We have to claim for our dignity. This spirit, I think, this spirit is marvelous. The way it is being spread in a very silent way, because they know that it is fight for their survival. Right now, when we see the whole patriarchal structure coming in a very different way, we have many laws. We have for the domestic violence, we have law. For the dowry, we have law. For the Dalit Adivasi oppression, we have laws to prevent that and to ensure the justice. But when it comes for the implementation, when it comes for the delivery of the justice, we find there's a whole mechanism which is taking back that rights which have been given to the Dalit Adivasis, women and the minorities. And at that juncture, what I find that women are coming up, very young girls are coming up, very, very young girls in the colleges, they are acting. There's any incident of sexual assault, any attempt for a molestation, anything which is happening, they are basically taking all the risks to spread the awareness also, to mobilize a different kind of people. They are not political in that sense. They are not very organized or not, they don't have that kind of a group energy, power, or the money or the structure. But when it comes to say no to injustice, we find that youngsters are acting so fast, so boldly, be it in the social media, be it on the public spheres. So that, I think that's a remarkable thing which is happening. During the Corona time also, when there was a pandemic, there was a lockdown, we found that so many studies at a very grassroots level coming out that how the discrimination is happening, how the discrimination is happening to the Safai Karamcharis, why there is a discrepancy between the benefits which other forefront workers are getting than the Safai Karamcharis. So all these issues to maintain, to keep them alive also, I feel that the gender aspect of that thing has a very strength, has become very powerful. At the same time, what I find that there are male counterparts also. There are men, there are young boys who are standing in support of all these moves which are happening. So there is a, at the same time, when there is such an onslaught from the state, there's such a onslaught on the freedom of the speech. There's such an onslaught that, okay, you write, you tweet, you can be banned, there can be multiple FIRs, whatever can happen to you. But we find at the same time that to say no to this kind of oppression, there are multiple voices from a different section which is happening. And I just want to end from one incident from where I started, that I'm in journalism from 96, I'm active in Delhi. And I think the kind of support be it international, be it Indian, different section, which Nodeep Kaur, the Dalit labor activist, she received. So that was an amazing thing that happened. Because otherwise, if a Dalit activist is being attacked, if she or he is being put behind the bars, it's hardly a news. Nobody will gather a momentum to cover it, to report on it. But there is a change that when women are speaking up, when young girls are speaking up, their support structure, support system has also grown up in a very different way. So this, I find that this is a important shift, that rest of the society, their number is definitely very less, not in such a way as it has happened for the others, but there is a shift. And especially when I find that there is an international pressure also, there's an international sounds also which come in support of these bold faces, then the things also change. So the global fraternity on these issues, the global support, the global structures of different kind, be it on the Twitter, be it on the Facebook, be it on the different kind of memorandums. So, but this is gaining a momentum, and this, I think, is building a different kind of a democratic process in the country. Which is very helpful, and I feel very happy about it, that so many faces are there. We can't just have few of them. And on the 8th March, a special report from the Dalit women perspective, it was released. Abhirami and the whole section, they brought out a different kind of, from the grassroots, they have connected different voices of the struggles. So in that also, while turning its pages, I found that so many people are there, so many young women are there who are speaking up, taking a direct threat to their life, but nobody can stop them. So this is a positive sign which I feel for not only for Indian democracy, but in general, I feel that this should happen across, and the kind of global networking, the global outreach. No issue is just a personal. Earlier, we used to say that personal, this is a personal issue, this is a private issue. But now, personal is political. So that's giving courage, and I feel that I feel very happy to see that so many people are quoting, are reading, are going back to writings of R Ambedkar. So that connect is very fascinating for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhasha Singh. I think that was a fascinating, narrative, building, especially from, from the grassroots, because that's something that we kind of like really, I think that's the strength, that's the courage of for each of us to keep working as well. And I think for me personally, I have a lot of questions, but I'll hold that. I'm sure like our friends here have questions. So if any of you have a question, please raise your hands and we can unmute you to ask your question. Yeah, I see Deepak Barkhade having a question. Please unmute yourself. You can introduce yourself and then ask your question, please.
Hi, this is Deepak Barkhade. Thank you for this letting me ask a question. I'm doing my PhD at the center, and it's articulating this personal and political. I just want to know more elaboration.
Okay, I think you were breaking off a little bit, Deepak, while you were asking question. Can you try and repeat? I think I got like you asking more about how personal and political are connected.
Yes, like how does personal become the source of courage to articulate politically for all the women in public spaces?
Bhashaji, do you want to like take a couple of questions, or do you want to go as per each question, whatever you feel you're comfortable?
It all depends on how much time we have.
I think we still have a little bit of maybe like another 20 minutes. We still have that. So,
okay. So I will just take this question and then we can later, I think, club. This is, I think, very important thing that how for the woman personal is political and how we draw the strength from the personal struggle and then connect with each other. I think the way patriarchy acts on us and the way patriarchy plus caste act on us is just to break all the connect from the issues relating to the dignity. They just make you so dehumanized that, okay, what is happening to me, I should feel the shame. Generally, that's why you see that when there is a case, there is oppression, there is even the rape, even the sexual offense happens, the whole society tries to blame the survivor. There's a whole attempt that, okay, why that she went, even in the Hathras case, you will find that there were narratives leaked by the police that why she was talking to the fellow. Nobody knows she was talking or not. But you see, there is a kind of character assassination of the woman who is suffering the oppression. Same thing with the, in general, happens with the Dalit, that the manual scavenger has to feel that, okay, this is my work. How I can come out, how can I say in public that I am a manual scavenger. So this is how the whole patriarchal structure, whole Manuvadi structure works, that they want to isolate you. They want to feel you that this is a very private thing which is being happened. The domestic violence, it's a very private thing. The moment a woman comes out from the home and say in the public that, okay, my husband is an abuser, he beats me, then the whole structure, whole society, neighbors, relatives, everybody will say, oh my God, what you're doing? You're bringing shame to the family. So this is how it's very important that we have to connect that this is not a personal thing. This is happening because of the patriarchal structure. And when one woman like Narayanamma, one woman like Saroj Didi, one woman like Meena of Delhi, she comes out openly and say, no, I am a manual scavenger because of the society. It's not my choice. This is because of the caste structure. I want to break it. Then the narrative change. It becomes a public play, public discussion, and then the personal thing becomes a political, and then there is an intervention which is connected with it. So I think this is very important to see. Generally, in the Me Too movement, we find that personal is political. Generally, movements which have a little social backup comes from a different class, we try to make this whole thing. But I feel that the other way, the Dalit movement, Dalit woman is coming out and saying openly that, no, I want justice in my case. That's personal is becoming a political, and that's bringing a change. It's not only when the woman from the middle class or upper middle class comes out and speaks, it has an implication. Everyone should speak. But when a woman from the oppressed class comes out openly, then the kind of connect, that's why there are more atrocities on Dalit women, more atrocities on Adivasi women, because they feel that, okay, they have to make it them isolated. They should not gather. They should not gain the momentum. So I think that's how I see this whole notion of personal. And it gives a lot of courage. It gives a lot of courage. That's why when Dalit woman speaks up, it happens. When Adivasi women comes together and they give their narrations, they speak about the kind of violence, kind of atrocities happening to them. The nation changes. It's a direct fight with the mighty. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Do anybody else have questions?
Hey, Jasprit, if we don't have any more questions, I will just ask Bhasha, Jabim, Sanjay here. So when we discuss about this subject with you, I was under impression that we will hear about this the women from oppressed communities who are known, means whose faces we know very. So but when you touch the women whose faces, whose names we are not aware of, I feel really thrilled, and I thought that it is really important to bring their stories to forefront, and thanks for doing that one. And as far as this lecture is concerned, I have two questions, but one question I will ask afterwards if I get the time. The first question is this: we see that the women in general, I'm not talking about only the Dalit women in general are very, very vocal about their rights, social rights, political rights, and all this, correct? But when it becomes the restriction they have been put by the religion, correct? करवा चौथ करना चाहिए, ये होना चाहिए, ये करना चाहिए. They meekly surrender that, correct? I'm talking about the women who fight for their rights on the social and political side, but when it comes to the religion, they meekly surrender. So do you see any change in their attitude, that they are also thinking that these particular religious restrictions are also equally harmful as any other social and the political restriction they may be facing? That's the question.
Yeah, thanks, Sanjayji. And I think it's so very important. I was thinking initially to address this, then I was little in an impression that how much time I have. And it's a I think it's a big question of our time, that I don't see just for the woman, but in general, there is revivalism. There is this whole religious superstition. I think when I was growing up, there was a movement in 70s, 80s, when we are talking to change our life, our parents, nearby people who are challenging this Karwa Chauth. Karwa Chauth is just one symbol.
Yeah.
The marriage itself, the kind of dowry itself. Dowry was a thing of shame. People used to hide. But right now, when we go in the marriages, it's a thing of pride. We get in the media so many news from the Mukesh Ambani marriage, that how much lavish it was. So what I feel, that there is a revivalism of Manu Smriti, of Manu, the kind of right-wing thought process, which is imposing this kind of a structure. So patriarchy in a very different way. It is coming back. It is attacking us. And it is the way it is attacking, that it is coming in a very glorified way. You see all the TV serials, soap serials, which has revived the woman into a very different, traditional woman is good. All the makeup which she is going to put, that's the glamour, that becomes a fashion statement. So it is not an isolated thing. The TV soap operas or in the public domain, even the political leaders, women political leaders, the way they have to claim that, okay, I am a practicing Hindu woman. So for a practicing Hindu woman, you are supposed to do this. If you are a practicing this religion, then you are supposed to do this. So that's how it is a revival. You will find that all the religious programs, festivals, you find a different kind of a color to it. Now, it's not a simple thing. So, and that's what it is, taking away our liberty. And to say publicly that I don't fast, suppose everybody in my circle knows that I don't do any of things. I'm just sharing my personal thing. But now if I write something on the Facebook, I write something on my social media, the kind of attack you get. So I find that many women who are not doing this, still they want to make a public statement. No, because there is a public pressure from the religious side also. You find that right now when the elections are happening, all the political parties are making themselves feel that they are much more practicing Hindu. Nobody's talking about the secular values. Nobody's talking about a different modern concept. So that's how it is coming from the top. The whole ideology of a Hindu Rashtra, where a woman has to be seen in a particular way. You have to be a different kind of a woman when you are in public. So this, I think that this is a direct connect with the political regime, the revivalism of Manusmriti. Now you are being taught in the Manusmriti. Now you are being taught about this, how the cow thing is, which is 100% irrational, unscientific. But the public domain and the kind of circle and environment which is being built up across these sections. So that's how I think that's the biggest danger. That's the biggest danger. That's why they will preach you, try to do this, and women will be carrier. Women have been carrying patriarchy. Women have been carrying the whole kind of concept that we have to keep the blood pure. We have been posted there. We can't go for intercaste marriages, interreligious marriages. There are whole concept of the love jihad which is happening. So this, I find that this is a very horrible thing which is happening to the society, where very patriarchal mindset is being imposed, and the kind of values which we have been fighting as a woman leader, as a social activist, what Savitri Bai Phule did at that time, it's very difficult to do right now. So what Ambedkar wrote at that time, if you write right now, you will be, I don't know, you will be under sedition, you will be charged with having the, hurting the religious sentiments. So this is how they are trying to take back what Ambedkar said at that time, that I bring this chariot here. If you don't take it forward, please think that it should not go back. So the forces which want to take this chariot of social justice and equality back, they are very powerful, very effective, and they are the lynching mobs.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if I may add another, another thing to the same conversation, I feel like, the burden of religion and culture has always been on women, and the reason probably that comes to mind is also like this role, or this idea of women as the caretaker. So you are the caretaker of the family. You are supposed to keep the family close. You're supposed to keep the purity of blood. So all of these aspects, like if they are not given leadership in any other space, they are the whole idea, the narrative of building them, women, as the caretaker of the family, and ensuring that everything stays in place, is on women, and subsequently also religion comes in the same space. So I think that's what I have kind of understood. So if I may, I'll take a minute for Jagannath. Did you want to go ahead and ask a question?
Yeah. नमो बोधाय, जय भीम भाषा सिंह जी, आपने बहुत अच्छा presentation किया. It was like seeing a real video when you explained what is happening to the most vulnerable population, in particular women, in the ongoing agitation. I'll just cut short and tell you only one observation and one question. My observation is, only last week at the United Nations headquarters, there was a special meeting on Dr. Ambedkar, and women from all countries, the UN representatives, they deliberated the contribution of Jai Bhim for the women folks all over the world. My observation is, this is an indication that all over the world, women folk are realizing, especially the leadership. I'm not speaking of the petty politicians who wait for a seat and get submerged, drowned in the politics. Not that. The intellectuals, and the real science and technology and real bureaucrats. It could be IAS officers committed. It could be, international people who can voice women difficulties in the international fora. It could be financial institutions, it could be UN, it could be WHO and things like that. So my observation is, because of a new deluge of women folk from our community, there is a new force coming up in the form of engineers, scientists, and you take CSIR, you take universities. You see, by default, there is one significant population which is emerging. AANA is an example. You have in Japan also, you have in different parts of the world, in different levels, women folks from Dalit community are really growing, point number one, observation. So there is a need of making convergence of these entities by initiatives like AANA. I think that way AANA is doing a wonderful human service. This is one of my observations. The second is question. The question is very simple and straightforward. So what next? So what next? Okay, the whole media is not giving any coverage on the woman, struggle that is taking place all over the country. I remember as a student in my high school days in 1972, 73, we went for a big procession on the Belgi, carnage, and Dalits were burnt alive. I'm telling you about 40 years back. The situation is camouflaged now. But the good news is we do have senior judges and different positions today. So what is my question? The question is, enlightened Dalit women leaders like you, why it is not possible to make a strong network of this new force of women folks in the universities, in the bureaucracy, in the politics also. It's not that they should be treated as untouchables. Point is they are doing it because of conditions. But ultimately, if there were to be a proper education for this younger, I met one senior State Bank of India employee. His daughter is telling him, Papa, why you did not tell us about Buddhism earlier? Today, I'm struck up with the Hindu religious practices because my in-laws are forcing me to do. I don't want to do it. But why you did not tell us what is Buddhism? When we say, keep all the gods below a tree, keep only Buddha at home, it makes sense. Because Buddha is about all gods and man. If we don't tell to our children, how they will appreciate? So my only question is, why leaders like you are not converging a new force that is emerging, especially the younger generation? That will be a great service. I look forward for it, and you should answer this question.
Thank you, sir. It's a very big question. I think it's there the hope lies. And I 100% agree with you that this should happen, and this is what I feel is happening. What I feel that it's not very organized, very in a public sphere, but I find that this is happening because this is the way. If we want to live with dignity, if we want to assert, if we want to survive in this whole world, and that's why there is so much attack. Otherwise, you feel that for single promotion also, for just rehabilitation of manual scavengers, for just getting the loan from 1 lakh to 15 lakh, just to implement the law which the Supreme Court and the Parliament has made in this country, so much struggle. Why? Because they know that if it is being implemented, if we get the right, if we get the education, and you rightly said the education, that's why they are attacking on education. They don't want that the people from the deprived castes class should get proper education. That's why the new education policy which has come and which is going to be implemented is going to have a drastic impact on the people of the marginalized. Our children will not be able to get into those institutions. Everything is being made privatized to that level. So they know from where the risk is. That's why the IAS, that was the highest post you get, Indian Administrative Services, that lateral admissions are becoming the new normal. That's why you are being taught that, okay, you can get whatever skills you want. So much promotion on the skill development from the class 8. Do you feel that any student from the dominant caste will go for a skill development at class 8? No. They want the people, because when they are in universities, when we get our degrees, when I become a doctor, when I become a lawyer, then I get the power. My education is giving me power. That's why Baba Sahib said that educate. So I think that's why there is so much linkages which are happening. Definitely, these linkages have to be made little more organized, because this is a fight for the survival. This is fight for the dignity, nothing else. This is not a fight for the power. This is the fight that, okay, this is a way a human being should live. So many faces, so many youngsters fighting in a very different way. I think that's the hope lies, because the fight should also be decentralized. The moment it is very organized in a different way, then it's difficult to face. And at the same time, the kind of patriarchal structure and the caste reassertions, you find the leaders. You're talking Thakur ki sarkar hai, Thakur CM hai. So this is just the reverse. What is happening? The reservation has become a negative thing. If you talk about the reservation, okay, you are diluting the merit. But when you go for a private education, you are talking about the merit. So, and this fight, you have to fight at a multiple level, which I find you are right in this, that we have to fight, and we should not allow them to close a single door. Many doors are closing on us. The constitution, I'm in India, I'm living in India. My biggest support comes from the constitution. That's the only hope where I can claim my right to live as an equal citizen. So this, I think, we have to fight in a very different way, and not allow any power to take our rights. And especially the kind of superstition, the kind of religious fundamentalism which is being promoted, and that has become a new normal. The more fundamentalist you are, the more public space you get. The more religious you become, in a religious, in quote unquote, the more your acceptability becomes. So there, I think we need to check, and women are not going to give up, sir. We know. No, we have come so far with so much difficulty. We have been called by names. We have a troll armies to receive us for a single video, single stories. But we have not given up, and we will not give up, because this is my fight.
Bhasha
this is
Singh,
your fight.
Let me accept whatever you are told, and I agree with it, number one. But the issue is highly spiritual, I tell you why. Because in Buddhism, there is no Atma. Then where is Atma Nirbhar aata hai? Atma Nirbhar ka chance hi nahi. In Buddhism, it is Chitta. 256 plus Chittas are there, and we don't know what happens after the death. So people are cheating by saying that Atma Nirbhar. Are kaun decide karega Nirbhar? Kiska Nirbhar kar hai? Dekhiye, if woman does not raise their voice saying that we don't believe in that, Buddha is the way out. Buddha is the light for us. See, that sort of assertion from leaders like you will make a whale of a difference, because you are visible, you are known. Because see, AANA is conducting so many Sunday Viharas. I'm learning so much. There's a convergence of women, Dalit leaders emerging. And I'm very hopeful that, see, I'm not looking just at the Dalit women, because my audience is Africa. My audience is South America, because I'm a part of WHO infodemic management. People are living through difficulties. See, just in AANA webinar, we had Dr. Ambedkar writing to United Nations about the Negroes, the Black Americans. See, the voice is already there. So I want to again affirm observation and request you, if you can take a lead because I can quote you so many examples. My junior, for example, in space department, she is a Dalit from Maharashtra. Now she is living through. She married a non-Dalit, and she's having such a spirit to live through. She's living through. But the difficulty she has got in offices, in the promotions, in the acceptance, you see, is not there. So women folks, especially Dalit women folks in the Indian system itself, in the so-called central government or secured job positions, are also not in a very comfortable situation. See, when you are outside, when you are speaking of women Dalits in the farmers movement, there is a big population within the CSIR laboratories, within the scientific departments. They are not opening their mouth because there is no voice, there is no forum, there is no forum. So I think that is what I was trying to put a question to you, an effort to converge all these. See, we have done some work on this ISRO. We collected all our scientists and technocrats. We did 3 national level conferences. Surprisingly, we had hundreds of them. Even the solar panels, even the camera, they have been designed by the Dalit women and men. See, we are a part and parcel of the national development, but it is not focused. It is not given the leadership for obvious reasons that you know very well. So my question is very simply, kindly, why don't you initiate some sort of a effort to converge the women folks within our community, Dalit community, so that they can take the leadership. Not only give leadership to Dalit, but also outside.
Yes.
So this is my submission, please.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
is the need.
Yeah, so I think we still have people who want to ask questions, but I'm going to take they take time to just like kind of summarize a bit, and then we need to close the session because we also need to respect our own times. That's what I have learned. So I think hearing you speak today, lot of topics, lot of issues that I have heard through, Kimberly Crenshaw's intersectionality about class, caste, and gender that came to my mind. Abu Logot's talk about resistance within oppression, like that came to my mind during the talk. And of course, personal is political, which became like a definitely has become a very important thing in today's life. But I also wanted to add, I think we talked about that a bit and what Jagannath ji was just saying. As women being marginalized, being oppressed, and by the way, when Baba Sahib talks about oppressed communities, all women are oppressed communities. That's what he talks about. So I feel like, yes, people who are oppressed, they do need to move forward and like speak our voices so that we are heard and we are we know what we are talking about because we speak from experience. But I think at the same time, we as in both men, women, all genders, everybody has the responsibility of nurturing the next generation so that our boys don't become the same what we have seen men do in the past. Our boys, especially, and I'm saying especially boys, are not, reinforcing the same patriarchy that we have lived through. So our boys make that change. So I think the onus is not only on women, but everybody. So, I just wanted to say that. And with that, we want to close this session. Thank you. And thank Bhasha Singh for coming and, giving her precious time and sharing her experiences with us. Jai Bhim, Namo Buddhaya.
Thank you. Jai Bhim.
Thank you.
Thank you.